We still got the water flowing. Welcome to the 64th installment of the Prester John investigation. We're digging on Lilith. We're digging on the Queen of Heaven. The phantoms and duplications. Specifically, the Son of Queen Sheba and Solomon. Did Sheba and Solomon have a son? And is the name of their son called Nebuchadnezzar? We're going to get into the book of Daniel. We're going to search this out, my noggins, because these are some brand new questions popping up. I would have never even thought of going down this path dealing with Sheba, but man, we definitely need to search it out. We're just now getting here in Prester John 64, my noggin. And I'll be rolling in my 6-4. I told y'all, man, hold on, man. We taking the wheel. We out of here, baby. Let go. Jeremiah 44. I'm digging on these raisin cakes, man. I'm digging on these cakes. Besides, the women added, do you suppose that we were burning incense and pouring out liquid offerings to the Queen of Heaven? And making cakes marked with her image. Okay, so there's two versions of this Queen Mother, right? Shalak, let's go, man. We popping off, man. We popping off, man. We got the Queen Mother or Queen of Heaven. You can dig on the hijack version. All the way back to Simrapis or Simrabbit. You know what I'm saying? Semramesses, Simrapis, whatever her name is. Mother of Nimrod, you know what I mean? And then you can dig on Queen Mother as in like mother, like the mother of life, right? Like some would call Eve. Eve will be called a mother, a queen mother. Many times with the kings of Judah, their mothers were literally called Queen Mother. But who's the Queen Mother? Who's the Queen of Heaven, though? So, this is Prester John 64. And the way it's looking, anytime we talk phantoms and duplication, anytime we're talking about reflections, we got to get to the root. We got to say, who was the beginning, of what power are they claiming, when they talk, in Christianity, the Christ, the anointed, what power are they really, referring to? Like, what power is their story based off of? We've been digging on, the JC character in the New Testament is based on a lot of actual characters kind of put into one thing, you know. You got the real Joshua who's leading his people to the promised land. You dig? You got Ezekiel who's bearing the sins of Israel for 430 days. Read the book of Ezekiel. He's bearing the sins of the entire tribe of Israel by being bound to the floor for 430 days. That's a lot longer than JC was put on that tree. But then again, you are the Naga that was put on the tree, so it's really based on you and me. And Sheba appears to be the forerunner of what they twisted into their Shiva in the Hindu mythology, into this goddess of destruction, god of destruction, as well as this queen of heaven. I mean, it becomes this Semiramis, mother of Nimrod as a form of a queen of heaven. But who could really be called a queen? I mean, who could really be called the queen, my dog? Hey, shout out to my aquas. Shout out to my aquas. So, just like David, is called their antichrist, their Dajjal. Remember the Dajjal drop? Where's my wave surfers, man? You remember the Dajjal, right? He's the antichrist. He's now this one eye, green eye Dajjal character with these dragon or demons. Here you go. Sheba is also a jinn. She's also a demoness and all that, right? So why are they being demonized? Why are the highest magi's in our lineage being demonized? We dug on, Lilith, get that last drop. We out of here. The connection with Lilith and Sheba, right? So Lilith is now called this demon, dragon, god, goddess, and all this stuff. She got the feet of this, and it's like they're just chopping away at her beauty, right? Her legs got to be hairy and this, and her feet got to look like calves' feet. They got to take away from the beauty of her to get us thinking about hairy legs and goat feet. You know what I mean? So I urge you to dodge the hijack to see what is the power, right? That they are really, it's like they have to tap into it, but they can't let you know really what it's all about, right? When you're talking about baking cakes, especially when you talk about the pagan and the heathen, and different things, it gets back into this spiritual baking, right? Spirit, you heard of spirit cooking, right? Spirit baking. A number of years ago, in an effort to further entrench my own feminist Jewish identity, okay, I got into the habit of looking through the Hebrew Bible, the Tanakh, in search of women. Each new one I found was like a gift, particularly if she had a role in addition to or other than childbearing. Their stories continue to fascinate me, mixing unspecified quantities of myth, legend, object, lesson, and history. The stories become like intricate puzzles as we go through the process of deciding what may fall into which category. My most exciting find, I know it's small, so I'm reading for you. They won't let me blow this one up, but this is a Spiritual Baking and the Queen of Heaven by Nina Mandel. All right, let's dig on it. My most exciting find has been the women in the book of Jeremiah who bake cakes for the Queen of Heaven, found in chapter 7 and again in chapter 44. These women appear to have the distinct ritual function of making cakes as offerings of some type in the likeness of a deity called Queen of Heaven. And I'm just asking you, I mean, if anyone was to ask you, who were they originally honoring, and then who did they originally begin to deify? And then who did they demonize? Did the, sisters that's baking the cakes, were they baking them to Semiramis? Were they baking them to Nimrod's mama? Or were they baking them to the first woman of creation? Not that it's good either way. If HaWah, if any of this is taken away from your honor of HaWah, obviously. But at least we get a picture that it might not always be like we keep hearing, like Queen Mother of Heaven, Queen of Heaven. Who's this? Who is this? Why would the sisters go off and decide it was cool to venerate this woman unless she was the Eve or the mother, the first wife of Adam? Then you can see, oh, well, I can see how honor can turn into veneration, into deification. When you're just talking first woman of creation. And that's when you get back into the Lilith story. How her and Adam had all these babies, and then Adam went, to Eve and had Seth later, but they had a bunch of dracons popping off. And as we talk about Sheba, we get into the story about, Sheba and Solomon having a child. Now on the table you hear about Menelik, right? Menelik popping off. Under the table you hear about Nebuchadnezzar. And it starts to put the story together as to why Nebuchadnezzar thinks, he can just knock off all these, this king of Judah and all these princes of Judah. If Nebuchadnezzar is the son of Solomon and Sheba, clearly he has a lot of swag, you know what I'm saying? A lot of power. Son of Solomon, son of Lilith, son of Sheba, my nigga. I mean, Solomon, you know what I'm saying? Nebuchadnezzar got a lot of drop. Now, it doesn't mean he was in code, but at the end of the book of Daniel, he does get in code. Just like with Sheba, they say, oh, well, she wasn't in code, but then with Solomon, she decided to drop her idolatry, and then now she's rocking in the code with Solomon. Others would say, nah, she was already coming from a Torah keeping, high Amazon queen background, you know what I'm saying? And, it wasn't about her idols, like, what do we believe about this Aqua? Was she an idolatrous, demoness, sun worshiper? Or can we move all that aside and say, hey, you're talking about the first woman? Can we just put that aside and just give the first woman some ahab? Because all of these religions are tearing her apart. The Quran is tearing her apart, bringing her into a demoness. Same thing possibly with this Bible talking about the Queen of Heaven. So when we get a scripture like this saying, Jeremiah 44, where we got a Queen of Heaven, we say who's the original Queen of Heaven? I mean, who were the Hebrew women venerating, making cakes marked with her image, my nigga? Do we have any evidence that this Queen of Heaven has to be Semiramis? You know what I'm saying? Ishtar. I mean, that's what they would say. And perhaps this was an Ashereth Ishtar situation. But was it originally an Ashereth Ishtar? You know what I'm saying? Did it start that way? Did it begin that way? Let's go to verse 18. But from the time we stopped burning incense to the Queen of Heaven, I mean, would they be burning incense to Eve? Adam's second wife? And if they would venerate Eve, I mean, think about it. They worship Mary, Managi. They got a whole religion around Mary, right? So clearly they will make a whole religion around a prophetess, right? Surely they will make a whole religion around the queen mother of all mothers. If not, clearly they would. So if you don't think she's the queen of heaven referred to in Jeremiah 44, I just want you to take a step back and say, well, where is she then? Where is Sheba or Lilith being venerated, my naga? I mean, we just surfing the wave, man. We just surfing the wave. Hey, man, y'all still got that fire burning, my naga? Okay. The fire's still burning? Hey, man, we must have some Yapa fire starters around here. We must have some Yapa ox and aquas, keeping the fire burning if the fire's still burning. We're going to come back to the fire for the dismount because I want to get into that India once ruled the Americas. Go back to those old doms, my naga. Old doms, old goms, my naga. But, we'll be right back. Keep the fire burning. I'm just talking Lilith, man. We just talking Lilith. We covered a lot of ground in the last drop. Make sure you belly flop. Make sure you belly flop. We dug on different things when they made Lilith the demon queen, right? And then Samaria got their own Lilith connection. And it's becoming clearer that Lilith is Queen Sheba. They connected her with a night monster, right? Isaiah 34:14. And the wildcat shall meet the jackals, and the satyrs shall cry to his fellow. Yea, the night monster shall repose there, and shall find her place of rest. Now, are we talking jackal or we talking dragon? Remember the tans and tannins? Okay. So you see how hard they are on Lilith, and then you see how hard they are on Sheba. What's the connection? In the desert, she had spawned 100 dragons, hundreds of dragons, or I'm sorry, demons, right? And that's their story. Adam, you know, um, the angels tried to force her to return to Adam, or she would lose her children or her dragons. Lilith adamantly refused, right? Because she's going her way. She's just doing her thing. Then it says it wasn't until 130 years of age when Adam returned to Eve. And then, then comes Seth. But all that time before this, Adam had 9 other sons after the fratricide, including Seth. So all this time before the age of 130, Adam was popping off with who? During the nights, Lilith visited him and mated with him while he slept, and she bore him countless demons. Remember, the dragon is the person, male or female, fierce or violent towards the hijack. And somebody left a great comment. They said, does this have anything to do with the cavern of dragons in Antarctica, man? Great comment. I appreciate you for that. You know who you are. You know who you are. Huh. Dragons that would beset the whole world, huh? And then, like I said, you got your Sumerian connection we got last time. So what does all this got to do with Queen Sheba, man? I mean, man, what does it got to do with the Helen of Troy and Ashkenazi folklore? The figure merged with the popular image of Helen of Troy. So, they went to war over this queen. What's it got to do with Nebuchadnezzar, man? The alphabet of Sirach avers that Nebuchadnezzar was the fruit of the union between Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba was considered one of the queens of the demons or the queens of the dragons, and is sometimes identified with Lilith. First in the Targum of Job and later in the Zohar, Manaka. So, and even here it says that a Jewish and Arab myth, right? We're going to get the Quran connection a little bit more, maintains that the queen was actually a jinn, half human, half demon. So here we go again with the jinn, just like with David, just like with the Dajjal, Managi. They don't want you to get that anything to do with the Prester, Managi. Whether you talking priest queen or priest king, high Amazon queen, all this is going to be demonized, man. And all the while we're supposed to be searching. The whole time we're supposed to be on our A game, my noggin. After you return, the children return, you're supposed to be what? Seeking HaWah and David Jakan. But in order to seek HaWah, you got to keep the code. And in order to seek David, man, you're going to have to reverse the curse. Anti their Christ, their Antichrist, anti their anointed, anti their Zeus, anti their reflection. Antichrist, right? Dajjal, Prester. Because once Prester wouldn't make no alliances with the Muslims or the Christians, the Prester John wouldn't make no alliances, so he became the anti their Christ. He became the Dajjal in Islam. He became demonized, and she became demonized. We're just talking about Hawah's goodness in the end of days. Somebody else asked, how you know this is the end of days, Drop? I said, well, it sure as hell looks like it. But even if it's not, you know what you do? You still got to return, keep the code, seek HaWah, and you still got to search for the priest and the king, my nigga. And in searching for the priest and king, it starts connecting you to the real thing. Come on, can't be no king without his queen. Now, we're talking Solomon and Sheba, Nebuchadnezzar, and again, who are these women baking cakes to originally? Is there any proof that they were just, going crazy on Ishtar, you know what I'm saying? Or did they have a deeper connection knowing that they were just talking Sheba, however, or Lilith, however, maybe going left or going, going off the track, right? Maybe they're calling on Sheba, right? Maybe they think Sheba and her dragons can come save them. Maybe they got it twisted. Maybe, they should have been calling on HaWah first, right? Because when we seek HaWah, when we seek the Creator, when we seek the Creator, then we can get the keys, my noggin, to the priest king. Then we can get the keys, my noggin, to our queen again. But it's not about calling on Sheba to save you or calling on David or Prester John to save you. It's about what? Seeking HaWah. That's the order. And that's what we've been getting wrong, man. Other than that, they call on angels or they call on other dragons, right? They call on everything but the Creator first. They call on everything. They seek everything but HaWah first. Rule number 1, my nugget. Keep the code, man. Don't put no power before your power. Oh no, you gotta go through your Habashah to find God. Now, come on, man. You gotta go through a Yahweh to find the Most High. Where does it say that? What scripture? In the Tanakh, my nigga. What scripture? Well, Genesis talks about an image. My nigga, you the image. You the image. Seek HaWah and we. Hey, we on installment 64. Lego. We just talking Sheba. We just talking the queens, my nigga. And with this baking and cakes thing, some say raising cakes, right? But here it just says in making cakes. So whether they were raising cakes marked with her image, you know what I mean? Or just cakes without our husbands knowing it and helping us, of course not. Moreover, said the women, when we burn incense to the Queen of Heaven and poured out drinks and offerings to her, was it without our husband's knowledge that we made sacrificial cakes in her image and poured out drink offerings to her? Okay. Then you got Jeremiah 7. It says the sons gathered wood, the fathers light the fire, and the women knead the dough to make cakes for the Queen of Heaven. They pour out drink offerings to other gods to provoke me to anger. So they might be saying, all right, well, yeah, I know that HaWah, I know the Creator rocks with Sheba. I know the Creator rocks with David. I know the Creator rocks with Lilith. Come on. You're just talking about the first woman, right? When you talk Lilith, my naga, you just talking about the first woman of creation. That's all we talking about, man. So, you can see how they can think, oh, okay, well, if it was something else outside, kind of like a Semiramis situation, then maybe, they'll say, okay, that's way off. But if they're, venerating Eve or Adam or Abraham, perhaps they feel like they're closer, still talking about the same energy of HaWah, but yet they're out of order still. You know what I'm saying? We're just talking about order and chaos or disorder, however you view it. Order or disorder, you know what I'm saying? Out of order is anything other than your direct connection. Doesn't matter how strong and powerful and beautiful and none of that stuff any of our people are, any of our magi are, you know what I'm saying? Our male magi magicians, it doesn't matter how great they are. You're out of order if you're calling on them before HaWah, you dig? But I can see now how some of them, in their righteousness or in their confusion or in their whatever, might say, hey, Lilith, maybe she can help me. Maybe she can save me. Maybe she can get us out of this. We heard the stories of Queen Khalifa. We heard the stories of Sheba, and she's now been deified in all these other mythologies, man. I mean, baking cakes, man. In the likeness of a deity called the Queen of Heaven. The Jeremiah text forbids the women to make these special cakes, and their actions are cited as an example of paganism that is driving the Israelites from HaWah's favor. Hey, just for fun, I put in, Queen Sheba raising cakes. They call it Reine de Saba. All right. Hey, is it play? Reine de Saba, my nigga. Julia Childs, the famous Julia Child, got her own recipe of this Queen of Sheba cake. Might be a long shot, might be something, might be nothing, but what does this Queen of Sheba cake, what does the Queen of Sheba cake, my naga, have to do with these cakes, man? Marking cakes with her image. All right, I'm gonna let you ponder on that. Dealing on this Reine de Saba or Queen of Sheba cake. So this just lets you know, hey, it could be something, it could be nothing. But we know that these cakes or this spirit baking and the Queen of Heaven, go back quite a long ways. And in the book of Jeremiah, you know what I'm saying? In Jeremiah 7, knead the dough to make for the Queen of Heaven. Now let's get a little more of that because I want to get the next verse on that Jeremiah 7. Let's get the King James, KJV. Let go. Do they provoke me to anger? Verse 19. I'm in Jeremiah 7. Says, so why do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus says Hawah, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man and upon beast, upon the trees of the field, upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn, and it shall not be quenched. So this ain't no play, man, messing around with this spirit baking, my naga. We're talking about Judah's idolatry. Now, this leads us into Nebuchadnezzar because he's popping off, man. Nebuchadnezzar's popping off. But we don't know why. We just think he's just, a hijack doing what hijacks do. We have to get Nebuchadnezzar's side of the story to know why he can look at Judah as idolaters, even though he's bringing his own idolatry. Now think about this, for a second, man. What was that? What was that drop we just read about Lilith and whatnot? Let's get this. Okay. So here's the question that we got right here. If Solomon, went off in his own, version of idolatry, built altars and different things like that. And if we are connecting Lilith, right, and Queen Sheba, and says Nebuchadnezzar was the fruit of the union, And we know Solomon, or according to the script, he goes off on his own trying to control these demons or trying to control these dragons. The same dragons that Sheba's controlling. Or Lilith. So Nebuchadnezzar, for sure, he got his dragon drop, right? I mean, he got his dragon that he wants everyone to worship, right? He got his own dragon. He's telling everybody to worship this dragon. You know what I mean? You start to see how this is all coming together. Now, even in that point of our demise, right? Even in the captivity, the Babylonian captivity under Nebuchadnezzar, think about it, man. If Nebuchadnezzar is the fruit of the union between Solomon and Sheba, this is King Solomon's bond. This is why he feels he can just roll up in here and put we're going to get it, Jeroboam and all that, who's doing his own idolatry and saying, look, you idolatrous kings of Judah, who do y'all think y'all are? Let me just put you in captivity. Even in our demise, man, HaWah still sent a son of Judah or a son of David or a son of Solomon, even with his own idolatry. Almost like HaWah said, man, if y'all gonna be idolaters, I'm gonna pick my own idolater. Nebuchadnezzar, you're in. Go. Put him in captivity. Show him your idols, because I got more of a stomach for your idol than I do for these kings of Judah right here, who's supposed to be hijack free. But that don't give Nebuchadnezzar a pass, because even he had to repent, spend 7 years in the wilderness, and then come back and give all Ahab to HaWah. We about to read it. So even in that, HaWah chose this oppressor, right, Nebuchadnezzar, who has a heart that was capable of changing, a heart that was capable of being restored, a heart that was capable of being redeemed. So we see here, man, that, Nebuchadnezzar is it's a lot going on here. And who does he have in captivity? Who, Daniel? All right, man, who got the drop, man? Who's Daniel? You know what I mean? Who's Daniel, man? Let's go, man. I mean, we just popping off, man. We just getting started, man. Who's Daniel, man? Y'all remember this, man. Who's Gilead? Gilead? Daniel? Are you surfing away? Now, this Gilead Daniel is the brother of another Gilead Daniel. Who's this? So this is a Gilead, also known as Daniel, right? The same time period. This 900s, man. This 900s, man. Right? He's the son of King David of Israel, and Abigail is Gilead, or Daniel. Daniel is the son of King David of Israel, my God. Now this is in what? Let's catch him slipping right quick, my noggin. They're bringing us to the BCs, man. Right, the before hijack, right? The BCs. Let's get back on this killie. Same thing, right? The BCs. Let's go to Wiki on the killie. Caleb, also known as Daniel, was the second son of David, king of Israel, according to the Bible. Now, when was the book of Daniel written? Do you, with all your clarity, Manaka, think the Bible was written? I mean, the book of Daniel was written in the 1000 BCs, man? Or are we connecting our Daniels? Are we connecting our Daniels, our Achilles? Because remember, this Daniel, right? Because we're just talking about who Nebuchadnezzar has in captivity, right? We're talking about the Persian Babylonian captivity, huh? Even though they're all over the place, and they'll put that in a separate place than King David. But you have to link the story, man. This Daniel that's in captivity in the book of Daniel is Gilead, who is the second son of King David. He has three older brothers, Amnon. What does Amnon have to do with Anan? Is this the same Anan ben David that we've been digging on? We're going to get more of? Is this connected with Ania? Then you got the Absalom, Adonijah, who were important characters in 2 Samuel. Caleb is only named in the list of David's sons, and no further mention is made of him, though being the second son. Ain't no further mention is made of him. Think they're hiding something in the timeline? Gilead was not a contender for the throne of Israel even after the death of the firstborn Amnon, the thirdborn Absalom, and fourthborn Adonijah. He may have died before his father. Later rabbinic traditions name him as one of the four Israelites who died without sin. No, Jesus, who died without sin. Jesus. What about the four Israelites who died without sin? Have you thought about them? Who's the sinless man? Benjamin. Jesse. Who's a Jesse? Oh, father of David. So David is coming out of a sinless seed, Manaka. David is from a sinless man. That means you had that means you weren't breaking the code, man. You never did idolatry, you kept the code. That's all that means. Not that you're just, perfect, you never made a mistake, but that you kept the code, man. All right. Amram is Moses' pops. What does Moses have to do with David? They both come from sinless men, right? Yet they both had some level of transgression, right? The throne eventually passed to his younger brother, half-brother Solomon, and Solomon has a son who is Nebuchadnezzar. So Nebuchadnezzar is what? The nephew of Daniel. My oh my, how the story turns, man. So could Solomon, during this time of captivity with Nebuchadnezzar, as crazy as it, what I mean? We gotta put all the possibilities on the table. I mean, where was Solomon during this time? Where could Solomon have been during the time that his son, was taking Israel captive? And just because Daniel is or could be Nebuchadnezzar's uncle, doesn't mean he was necessarily, older than Daniel. Some people got uncles that are younger than them, especially in the hood. You're like, oh, that's my uncle. But he younger than me. I mean, things, just put it on the table because we see this stuff all the time. So don't act like we crazy. You know what I'm saying? That Nebuchadnezzar could be the nephew of Daniel. You know what I'm saying? But, Daniel was younger. You know what I mean? So when we, and again, Gilead, the name translates to perfection of the Father. So what are you talking about? Perfection of HaWah? But in this case, we're talking about resembling David. Because they said that Abigail, some question whether Abigail was pregnant through David or her firstborn Nabal. I believe Nabal had died and she was a widow. So God arranged that Gilead would resemble David. So his name literally means perfection of the Father in reference to or cause of that legend. So Daniel resembled David, probably so much, you know what I'm saying, that, he literally was like a spitting image, man. He was the perfection of his father. But, again, they want to put him way back in the BCs. We started connecting him to somebody named Daniel Al-Kun. Yeah. So we go from being 900 BC to 946 AD. Bang. And just like that, we've replaced a missing 1800 time chronological shift. 1800 years, my naga? Is it possible? Is it possible that they shifted your timeline 1800 years? I mean, you might, from a wave surface, they know how this has been going down. But there are three main chronological time shifts. Only the OG wave surfers already know where I'm about to go with this, man. Already know. Let's see if we can get it, All praise for why. All these links are still up, man, still popping. Let's check out this one right here. Let's go parallel timelines in history. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Shout out to Video Dave. Hey y'all, let's get a piece of this and see what we can connect, man. Shout out to the balcony servers, because I want to know how they can shift our time 1800 years. Is it possible, man? That's all we're asking. It's an investigation. Don't come over here with your mind made up. We're asking the right questions, Managi. All right, so we're asking questions. When we say David, Antichrist, we're asking questions about the Jah. We're asking questions about the Jinn, and then it takes us to the Jinn dynasty. So you got to ask questions about these things. What is the Jah? What is the Jinn? Who are the Jinn? Who is the Jinn dynasty? How do they relate to the Tangul? How does the Tangul relate to the Karians and the Karakatai? Back to Prester John, back to King David. How does that relate to the Kofar al-Tarak? This is Prester John 64. So if you're going to tell me, if you're going to tell us, Managa, that Gilead is popping off in around estimated, right? Between 1031 and 971 BC. Estimated, right? We're talking about Hebron, huh? Or Heber, or Eber, or Quiveria. Kiever, right? Get the drop, man. All right, we taking off, man. So, look, man. Eber, right? Same place. Where's the land of Prester John? Where's the land of Prester John? You should already know. You've seen the maps of the British Museum. You can get all that again, but stay focused, man. So if they're estimating around this 900 range, we're talking Gilead, the second son of David, who is the perfection of his father. I'm asking you, when is the book of Daniel written? I'm asking you, when is Nebuchadnezzar popping off? Because that's going to give us closer to Solomon's situation. Of course, we got the Forbidden Histories of America, where Daniel Lowe has Solomon the Builder at around 700 AD. So if Solomon the Builder is popping off around 700 AD, and if he has a son Nebuchadnezzar, then he's going to be popping off what, around 800-ish? You know what I'm saying? I mean, we got our breadcrumbs, right? They can give us a timeline and say, we're going to give you estimated 1,000 to 900. Right? We can dig on Forbidden Histories of America. And again, Solomon the Builder. I mean, right now, man, we got receipts, my nigga. We bringing receipts out. You know what I'm saying? Because we got so many receipts along the way, man. If you ain't got those, don't even try to have a convo with the con, my nigga. Because receipts is what we cash. Checking in. When I talk Solomon the Builder, when we talk the Brabo, who is the father, right? This is the father of Solomon the Builder. What year? 775 AD. His daddy, right? Sylvanus Ogam, also Brabo or Barber or Berber. What's a Berber? What's a Brabo? Who are the Barber Hakazim? Who's the Swan Knights, my nigga? A whole fleet of trading vessels known as the ships of Solomon. How many Solomons with whole entire vessels and fleets of boats are there, my nigga? So they want us to believe Solomon's happening 700 BC, right? All they do is switch the BCs with ADs damn near, because that's going to take you up to that 1800 year shift to 1500. Some is like 1,000 years. Sometimes it's only about 300 years. But the main chronological time shifts, according to Anatoly Fomenko, go dig on the Russian chronographer, you got 333 years, you got 1,053 years, and you got 1,776 years, man. Now, these are the main time shifts. 1,776 years is just about right, because that's about 1,800 years. That'll shift you from 900 BC to 900 AD, or 775 BC, 75 AD, my nigga. That's a hell of a shift. And if this Solomon Sylvanus Toltec, Solomon is rocking right here, and if he has a son with Sheba, the original Lilith, who had to test his wisdom because she had to make sure he's rocking in the same code as her first husband, Adam. She was rocking with HaWah from the beginning, so she know what the code looks like. She said, Solomon, he got the wisdom of HaWah. I have to see this for myself. He's in line with the cons. I have to test him myself. Now here's the thing. I know we're thinking about Solomon, David's son, but did you know that even King David is also called Solomon? And maybe this is a big puzzle piece that we need to apply. Because you have Sylvanus Texas, 775, right? You have Solomon the Builder, the hereditary ruler of the former Hebrew Rimmon pomegranate. Rimmon means pomegranate in Hebrew. Promised land. Kalalus was founded in the 1st century BC by a Babylonian exarch known as Sylvanus Ogam. So if this is Solomon the builder, if it's happening like that, right? His dad is David. Solomon's father is David. In this case, his father's name is Sylvanus Ogam or Sylvanus Brabo. And these Brabos are the Barbers, are the Berbers. They say, oh, those are just the Moors. No, my naga, this is a specific title. We got to get specific when we talk Solomon the Builder, man. This is not no general thing like Moor, my naga. The Brabo and the Berber title is a specific thing. It's connected with the Swan Knights are the Barbers. Now, this Brabo or Ogam, again, we got to get on that Ogam script. This Brabo is also under the title Solomon II, Babylonian exarch, Nasi of Mara, ruler of Sumer. I say, where's Sumer? Where's Sumeria? They try to put in parentheses in Britain. Stop the conjecture, Managa. We talking about home sweet home. Who are the Swan Knights? Who are the Berbers, Managa? This is coming from David or Brabo or Ogam, which is a Solomon. So when they say that, Sheba and Solomon, not only do you have David under that title Solomon as well, because this title is an ancient one, probably from the days of Mu Manak, you know what I'm saying? But also you have just an interesting situation, you know what I'm saying, with this Sylvanus connection. Solomon's son, Nebuchadnezzar. And of course you have this, Bathsheba situation. You don't just have Sheba and Solomon. You have Bathsheba, and David, right? That's the whole transgression David had to go through because, he saw Sheba bathing in the window and all that stuff. That's the story, right? So she's also a Sheba. So what's up with the Sheba title, right? Just digging on it. So you got David and Sheba, right? Bat in Hebrew. You got house, right? The house of the Bat, the Ba'at. See if I have my Hebrew chart up here for my noggins, because we cashing receipts around here, man. All right, so you got the Bet or the Ba'at. Bet, Bat, right? Family, the house, the tent, the floor plan, the house, the tent, the floor plan. Got it. So David and this house of Sheba, who's originally the wife of Uriah, one of the mighty men. Now they come together. I believe their first son dies, and then Solomon is born, and then bang, now he's all Baruch, right? And then with him comes another Sheba. Now, if you remember in the story, Bathsheba, before David passes away, she makes sure that her son Solomon becomes the king of Israel, king of Judah, right? Make sure that he got the blessing. So David gives him the blessing, so Sheba made sure Solomon got that blessing. Right? Reminds you of, who's that? Rachel, Rebecca. But at the same time, here comes another Sheba. So it's almost like she kept that lineage. She made sure that her son, got him another Sheba. Like she knew he was going to get another Sheba. Bathsheba had to know her son Solomon would get himself his own Sheba, right? But how do these Shebas connect back to these Barbary pirates, right? We talking about the Barbers, the Berbers. We just connecting the flow here, surfing the wave. How do these Shebas connect back to Ophir? We're going to talk more of this Ophir, Ophir, Ophirica, Ophirica. Who's Ophir? We're going to dig on Katana. We're going to dig on Katana because, maybe that's going to, another queen, what I mean? We're going to dig on Katana, man, you know what I mean? And the connection with this Ophir, Ophir, the home city of the Parthian Empire, which was the mouth of the Swan or Perth. So when you hear Pertha, Partha, all this is connecting with the Swan, Kanya. The name of the region was originally called Barber, which is swan in Hebrew, or Barabia, like Barbaria almost, right? The name of the region was called Barber, which is swan in Hebrew. Barber, swan. Yeah, we're going to dig on some couture drop. Right now, I just want to think about the Hebrew word of the day. The Hebrew word of the day, swan. Noun, barber. Body bag for the illusion. Barber is swan. So that gives you a whole nother recon connection, my naga, to the Berbers and the Barbers, and how this title's being taken by the so-called Moor, but Moor means great. And who are the greats? I mean, I know Ishmael is great. I know Moab and Ammon, have greatness to them too. But who are the greats, my naga? Let's stop playing. Who are the Khans? Who are the seeds of Dawid and Solomon? These are the actual Berbers. Barber, the swans, also known as, the Knights, right? Isn't Prester John a knight? Also known as the Swan Knights or the Barber HaKazim. And this is why Solomon the Builder, and this is why King David, also known as Ogam Solomon Brabo, this is why the Brabo is the barber. Are you seeing clear? Who had the fleet of ships known as the ships of Solomon or the swan boats, because the swan boats are connected with the swan knights, are connected with the barbers. The swan knights, the barbers. Back to the high Amazon queen. The name of the region was called Barber, which is swan in Hebrew. And the swan in Hebrew connects back to, right in our face bone, the ships of Solomon or the swan boats. or the Swan Knights. The Barber Hakazim, which is just the connection with the Brabo or King David Managa. And these kings, you know what I'm saying, are the forerunners. So Venus Toltexes and them are the forerunners of the Toltecs Managa, which are the seeds of David Managa, which are the mixed Coulters of the Toltecs, the Quetzalcoatlus Managa, the Cholus, the Cholulas, the Rodans, the remnant of the Rodans went back to Europe. We're talking Asia, right? The Hebrew Rodans settled in northwestern Spain, where they were trained, where as trained warriors, they were welcome to fight against the Muslims. So these Moors that they're fighting against are not the Barbers, are not Bravo and them. They can't claim that title of the Swan Knights. This wasn't a Swan Knight on Swan Knight War. This wasn't a Barber Hakazin on Barber Hakazin War. Managi. This family, these warriors, these Davidic warriors, this Davidic Exarch family are seeds of David specifically, Managi. Exarchs, Khan of Khans, and that's who's at war against the other Moor, right? But slow down, man. I'm just talking Swan Knights and Barbers and the Bravo. But who's the Barber and who's the Swan? Well, it connects to the High Amazon Queens. It connects to the Shebas, the Manis, Gaddy, Rabanis, Amazon High Queen, all down the line. All the way into the biblical, and I mean biblical, Queen Lady Esther. And this is what I'm saying, you know, if Lady Esther's popping off in the 1600s, Mordecai and them, all this is going down, how does it relate to Nebuchadnezzar, to the Babylonian exilarchs, to these captivities, you know what I mean? We're just talking about the Rubani royal families. Ganja, Kanka, Ganges. Managa, this is your history, man. And it's a beautiful thing because it goes all the way back to the Barbers. And the Barbers are the connection to the Bravo, which is connecting you back to the American Empire of Kalalus. And if you have forgotten, Kalalus means promised land. Kalalus means promised land. Okay. So again, now that we got our Barbers and Berbers situated, and we know the Hebrew word of the day is swan, barber, bang. Then you're going to have to do some explaining. With Solomon the Builder popping off in the 700s, right? Nehemiah or Nebuchadnezzar, you know what I'm saying? After that, then you got Daniel or Daniel Al-Kun, or also known as Daniel ben Moses Al-Kumize. Whoa, now this is when I said, you know, I keep saying, there's a connection between Moses and David. Not only do they both come from sinless men, Moses from Amram, David from Yeshai, right? They're both priests and kings. Moses king of Cush for 40 years. I mean, priests and kings. Moses dies on the side of Mount Nebo. Nebuchadnezzar's real name literally comes from the original Nabu Kaduri Usar, which means what? Nebo, defend my boundary. Yeah, man. Nebuchadnezzar's really name is his name is Nebo, but we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, man. Daniel Alcun is the son of David. Daniel is the son of David. Kiliab, also known as Daniel, is the second son of David. But he's also the son of Moses. Same Kamisi. So is he Daniel, the son of David, son of Moses? Or is David Moses? It seems like when you put Moses and David together, you get a real super naga, right? You get a priest, you get a Prester John. You got Prester John doing all the magic Moses is doing. Of course, you got Merlin. The whole Merlin hijack story is based on the magic of Moses, of course. We got King Arthur, who's based on King David, of course. In the story, you got Arthur and Merlin, right? Okay, well, maybe they're separate. Maybe they're, two versions of the same. But you have Daniel ben Moses, and they're giving you a 9th century date, which is the 800s. 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 And we just said that Solomon the Builder is popping off. Solomon the Builder is popping off. 775. And Solomon's son is Nebuchadnezzar, who gets in captivity, possibly his own nephew. Man, is that why he wanted to make Daniel the heir of his kingdom at the end of the book of Daniel? Or at the end of chapter 4? He wants to make Daniel the heir. Nebuchadnezzar wants to make Daniel the heir of his kingdom. Because that's his uncle, man? Is it possible? Well, 775, you got Solomon, and Solomon has Nebuchadnezzar, which puts him around the 800s in terms of this Daniel situation is all happening at the same time. Around the what? Man, 800s, man, 9th century. You got Daniel rocking. You got Solomon the Builder rocking. It seems like the real story's happening. And one more again, I'm asking you, man. We asking you, man. How can you put Daniel around this 900s, right? 1900 BC with right in your face bone? You got Solomon, right? So Solomon would be Daniel's brother, right? Because they're both sons of David. Solomon and Daniel are brothers. Solomon has Nebuchadnezzar. Solomon has Nebuchadnezzar. Now, here's the question. All right, let's keep going, right? Because they're pushing it over 1,800 years, man. We got around 800s here, and then they push us over here, right, to about 900s BC, from BC to AD, right? They pushed us all the way back. Now, Rock with me, man. Rock with me. David has Solomon and David has Daniel. Which one is older? It appears, right, that Daniel would be way older than Solomon if, of course, we're talking about Gilead, who is the second son of David. He was David's son with his third wife, Abigail. Now he has older brothers. Which one are Solomon? Now maybe Solomon's older, maybe he's not. Either way, we're looking at this, his half-brother Solomon. Okay, here we go. It says the throne eventually passed to his younger brother Solomon. Bang. Okay. Rock with me, man. So if Daniel is older than Solomon, and then Solomon has Nebuchadnezzar, that makes sense. That makes sense why Nebuchadnezzar comes out and, Daniel is already his uncle, already popping off. I don't know, man. Then that makes Daniel older than Nebuchadnezzar. Which way do they go, or which way do they go? If the throne passed to his younger brother Solomon, and Solomon has Nebuchadnezzar, because if it was the other way around and Daniel had Nebuchadnezzar, you know what I'm saying, earlier than Solomon, I don't know. I mean, one of these ways, makes it to where Daniel's younger and where Solomon's younger, you know what I'm saying? Either way, I'm just looking at the dates. Regardless of who's older, I'm looking at the dates, man. And how do they get away with pushing your timeline back what looks like about 1,800 years when it comes to King David history, Solomon history, and anything in between? And what's the connection with Daniel ben Moshe al-Qum? Remember this Qum. When we talk about Quming, this Qum means to rise in Hebrew. It's, action. It means you're rising. Quam, right? They say Quam Yashara. Quam is Qum, whether you spell it with a K or a Q, which has got to do with the Qumran, right? The Qumran got all the manuscripts coming out of Qumran. So, according, on this timeline here, he flourished at the end of the 9th or at the beginning of the 10th century, native of Damaghan, capital of the province of Kumis, former state of Tabaristan. Okay. Has two surnames, the later which was found only in Kirkasani. Now, then you can dig on Jacob Kirkasani. It's going to take you on a whole nother flow. His attitude towards Anan ben David and his violent opposition to the Ananites, right? So you got the Anian race, the race of Anan. You got the kingdom of Anion we've been digging on. You got Anan ben David. So Daniel he was cool, but then he ended up having some beef with his bro, Anan, right? And they were beefing about certain areas about the code. Now, when you dig on our Sefer HaMitzvot series, go dig on the Sefer HaMitzvot. You know what I'm saying? You're going to dig on the code and how everybody had their version of the Sefer HaMitzvot. They had their version of how to keep the code. So it says the first Carians, Anan's followers, immediate successors are called the Ananites or the Anian race. Are characteristic of his place in Karaism. Remember, the Kara means black in Turkic. Kara Katai is who Prester John is leading. He's leading the tribe of the Kara Katai, right? So Prester is playing throughout this whole situation. These are the Kara Katai. This is David, right? These are David's children, Daniel, Anan, Solomon. At first, he esteems Anan highly, so he used to have a high esteem towards Anan, calling him Rosh Hama Skelim, the chief of the scholars. So at some point, Daniel really looked up to Anan, called him the chief of the scholars, but later he despised him, called him chief of the fools, right? Because they had some type of, break, you know what I'm saying, in how they were viewing things, man. So, we're going to keep touching back on this when we dig with the priesthood, when we dig on, what Daniel was bringing, what Anan ben David is bringing. But again, the timeline of this Daniel Al-Kum, he's very important, man. I mean, Kum is very important. This is supposed to be what they call this. From the University of Manchester. All right, this is the Cariad. All right, so this ain't no play, right? This is coming out the University of Manchester. Daniel Al-Kum in his commentary on the Minor Prophets. So this is supposed to be his actual, or at least a translation in all Hebrew. This is all the modern stuff. But according to Erictology, you know what I'm saying, Daniel is responsible for these flame letters, you know what I'm saying, and sealing the book. He sealed the book himself into Chaldean flame letters. Is it true? I don't know. Man. This is a link called The Cariad Press. Another work called The Remnant and the Relic. All right, supposed to be some more work from, let's see. It says the volume presents for the first time in English the surviving fragments of the books of commandments of Hakan, Benjamin, all right, and Hakan Daniel. These individuals were two outstanding figures who shaped the growing Cariad movement of the 9th century, right? So this is happening at the same time as Solomon the Builder popping off in America, the land of Prester John, right? So you telling me this ain't connected? That Daniel is popping off at the same time as Solomon, and they're not popping off in the same area. It's just happening. One in the Middle East, the other in the, come on, man. So if this is Solomon the Builder in America in pretty much the 800s, Managa, then there's a Daniel, Managa. All right, this is his brother, man. This is his brother. Whether younger brother or older brother, this is his brother. And how does the Nebuchadnezzar, play? We're going to get the book of Daniel, dig on that. But again, right now we're digging on these dates. We got 971 here. We got 775 AD in the Forbidden Histories of America. 1800-year time shift. How did it happen? Fall back and get it like it's the first time. I know the Templars going to enjoy this. Let's get a few minutes of this parallel timelines in history, digging on the true chronology being put together by the Russian chronographers under Anatoly Fomenko. Lego.
Extremely difficult to use the paleography to verify the chronology. Although people use it then to make comparisons. We have an obvious circular argument here. What we need to always bear in mind is how things get dated, particularly in ancient times. I mean, in modern times, we know to some extent how things get dated. But imagine you're a historian, okay, from, say, 300 AD or 500 AD, possibly even 1200 AD or later. First of all, it's not entirely clear that your intention in writing history is the same as the intention of a modern historian, namely to give a faithful chronicle of events. We cannot take this for granted at all. As a matter of fact, it's a fair assumption that many ancient writings had a sort of moralistic purpose. They were much more in keeping with, like Roman histories was showing, the grandeur of certain figures, giving uplifting accounts and so forth. This is very, very important because the results that we're talking about are, in some cases, are going to look and seem so preposterous to you that you will be very tempted to just turn your mind off or turn your back to the whole thing. And what Ellen and I are above all trying to do is not make you throw out the data. You may discard Flamenco's interpretation of the data. You may discard the interpretations that we have of the data, but you shouldn't throw out the data. In my opinion, the data is incontrovertible. You see on the right-hand side, this is the Roman Empire from 82 BC to the 3rd century AD. On the left-hand side, we have the Roman Empire from the 3rd century through the 6th century AD. Okay, we are writing the Roman emperors in the order in which they occur according to the chronicles, according to the histories, even according to modern history. To read the diagram, the spaces, say from here to here, represent the length of reign of that emperor. So, in other words, here's 41 years, a long reign. This diagram is supposed to show a kind of symmetry between a period of time in which you have a sequence of Roman rulers, and then a period of time more than 300 years later, in which you have another sequence of Roman emperors. Now, let's start here with Augustus. Okay, he reigns for 41 years, and Constantine the Great Augustus reigns for 31 years. And you say, well, big deal. I agree. That's 10 years difference. But follow what happens after here. You have Tiberius compared to Constantius II, 23 and 24. When we come to Caligula, it's 4 years and 2 years. Caligula is paired to Julian the Apostate. Then we have Claudius, 13 years, and Valentinian, 11 years, and so forth. Now, so you understand the principle behind the figure. It is meant to show the symmetry between lengths of reign of emperors who are understood to have reigned more than 300 years apart. Toward the end of this period in Roman history, we have...
So already you see that something is looping. I mean, these aren't, minor variances. These are like, they're putting together lots of data and saying, whoa, all right, so you got a same king that does this here, the same king that does this here, 300 years apart doing the same damn thing. They're putting together the 3 major chronological shifts, man. Pay attention, because this has everything to do with your history, my nigga.
We have a sequence of 4 emperors who all reigned for less than 1 year. Okay, they were died or they got off by the legions or whatever it was. And that's paired by a sequence of rulers who all reigned less than 1 year on the other side. Okay, very, very conspicuous. Now, the other thing that's interesting is this period, sort of in Roman history, ends with an invasion by the Goths, where you have Caracalla. Oddly enough, exactly on the other side, you have a second, let's put it this way, quote unquote, second invasion of the Goths. Okay, on the left we have the Roman Empire from the 1st century BC to the 3rd century AD. Then we have the Holy Roman Empire from the 10th century to the 13th century. In other words, on the left here we have largely the same people who are that we had on the right-hand side in the previous one, but now they're being compared to rulers of the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, basically about 1,050 years later. And you see that we have
1,050. So first they were about 300 years apart, right? That's the first time shift. Now we are seeing the same variances, the same type of peaks in empires, falls in empires, the same correspond, the same connections, 1,050 years apart.
Another symmetry. Okay, this is how it's reported. But remember, we have to bracket almost everything of this kind over here, because we don't know what the veracity of the chronicles is, what the intention of the chronicles was, or even what the people really understood by it.
I don't think anybody is in any position really to make a hypothesis. You get a million ideas occurring to you when you really look into this. Many people I talk to, they want...
I think we're in a great idea to make a hypothesis, man. How about y'all? Let's go.
Get a hypothesis. They want to go off and run with it, to the exclusion of everything else before they understand anything about really what's going on. And I think that people have no business making hypotheses about this until they really understand the extent and the depth and the weight of what he has done. I mean, like...
We on Prester John 64. Lego.
Any really nailed down hypothesis. Obviously lots of crazy ideas are going to occur to you, but, because they occur to me all the time, and I try to...
We got crazy ideas, Drop Nation. Lego.
follow them out as much as I can, but I mean, we are not making hypotheses here, because really we're not in a position to.
Remember the little pattern up here? Okay, well, we have a little block of history here, and then we shift it back and so forth. Fomenko's opinion is the only legitimate history. Now, this doesn't mean that nothing happened before this. The only
Listen up. The only legitimate history. He ain't talking about excluding nothing. He's saying, yeah, go back in antiquity. You can talk Sumeria, but I can talk Sumer, king of Sumer, ruler of Sumer. We're talking Sylvanus, Brabo, Nasi of Mara. What does that got to do with your ancient Sumeria, my nine? What's being reflected out of it? How are these stories being reconstructed? Are they giving us a brand new antiquity by pushing our timeline back?
The only history that our documents address themselves to is from the period of 300 AD up till modern times. Everything else is a projection of that material, that historical material, back in time. Now, this doesn't mean that nothing happened before this. The only history that our documents address themselves to is from the period of 300 AD up till modern times. Everything else is a projection of that material, that historical. Shifted back and so forth. Fomenko's opinion is the only legitimate history. Now, this doesn't mean that nothing happened before this. The only history that our documents address themselves to is from the period of 300 AD up till modern times.
So we're not saying nothing happened before 300 AD, but you don't have no documentation whatsoever about anything before 300 AD, and everything else is being reflected out of that time period. Would you think about as ancient this and ancient America that is coming out of a time period after 300 AD, but specifically when?
Everything else is a projection of that material, that historical material, back in time due to the errors that scholars made in trying to synchronize relative blocks of history. Remember, there are three shifts. One's 333 years, one is 1,053 years, and the other one is 1,778 years. He hasn't.
Whoa, 1,778. All right, I was close. I said 76. That's damn near 1,800 years, man. Can we get that back?
The other one is 1,778 years. He hasn't.
1,778 years. My noggin. What happens when you add the 1,778 years to this timeline with Daniel? Does he suddenly get pushed up around, I don't know, 775-ish? Solomon, his brother Daniel, Father Brabo of the Swan, Knights Templar. What happens when you add this time back to Kilia, the son of David? What happens to David, right? David now has to go under another title, right? He can't be David. Solomon's dad just can't be David. He got to go under Sylvanus Ogam or Brabo. Even under his own title of Solomon II, Babylonian Exilarch. Exilarch. You did say Babylonian exiles, right? Right. Solomon the second Babylonian exilar is David, son of Raja Hiraja Chola the second. We will be getting back on these panties and cholas again, man. We just talking Prester John. I said we just talking Prester John. Who is Prester John? Yeah, see? Now we are not in the BCs, right? Because we're not under just the title King David, right? We're under Prester John, which means priest, king, but you had to get around the titles to see for yourself how they did this timeline business, man. Now they push King David back to the BC 708, whatever, My noggin. They said before 1195. That could mean anything. That could mean, I don't know, 775, This is David, right? This is Prester. His son is Solomon, father of Solomon the first. Would this Solomon be Solomon the Builder? Lady Hannah. See, Lady Hannah of Babylon, man, she's a mystery, man. She pops up all over the place, man. We're talking high Amazon queens, right? Because, it says Prester John, his wife is Lady Hannah. Now, is this actually Bathsheba? Bathsheba. They don't know nothing else about her. Except she's the mother of Hanan or Anan or Canaan. Ania. And of the exilarch David, her son David. Solomon. Lady Hannah's son Solomon has a wife, Labana, right? Queen of Rubani, Gadi, and Mani, right? Like Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, right? Queen of doesn't mean that she's of these tribes, but she's the queen over them. Like David is the king over all of Israel. Back to these Telmas. He said, is this the same high Amazon queen on this Amazon queen list? But they didn't call them Amazon queens, you know what I'm saying? Right here, you don't see Amazon, right? So you wouldn't even connect this to the Amazon. You wouldn't even connect this to the Mar Anan. But you see the same thing. And I want to dig on this Diana, man, because, Wonder Woman, right? Ain't she Diana, right? Davina, like a David or a Dewey, a Rubani, High Amazon Queens, Kanka, Ganja. Or are we specifically talking, how do they call her? Oh yeah, this Rubati, Ghani, and Mani, right? So you got the Rada or the Roda. See, this Roda is the same Roda. It's when they say here, he rejoined the remnant of the Rodans. Right? So these Rodans, these Jewish Rodans, Roda is an area that was, right where the Four Corners is. You know what I'm saying? Right there, near Calelus, near New Mexico, near all that. You know what I mean? That's the original Roda. We used to have a map that had the Roda on it. But yeah, it was right there, around Utah, Four Corners, man. So this Roda is the same as this Radha, Radha. All right. The same Rubati, Ghani, and Mani, Amazon High Queen. It's the same Rubati, Ghani, and Mani. That's the wife of Solomon. Who is who? Sheba. And who's that? Lilith. Lilith, right? So Lilith, Sheba, High Amazon Queen. That's all we talking here, man, when it comes to Solomon and when it comes to his daddy, right? Who also has a High Amazon Queen, but she goes under this title, Lady Hannah, mother of Hanan. And this Hanan is also Anna, or you could say Ania. So all this starts to connect, you know, we're just kicking that, real spill right now. You know what I'm saying? We're just kicking the real spill so we know what we're talking about. When we get back into Ania, we have our orientation together. Things have started to orient themselves quite beautifully. When we dig on Quivera and the Anian kingdom, I mean, we're talking about the Anian region, right? Then I want to get my bigger view, but you see it right here, Anian. So look how Anian here, stretches pretty much, all this area right here. This is all West Coast. Quivera right here. This will be connected with this California, all that. But all this is Anian, Manaka. All this is Anan or Anian or the son of David or Anan ben David. Connected back with, this Ogam script. And, we're just talking Dawid. Right? I will establish one shepherd over them. He shall feed them, my servant David. My servant David, prince among them, I have spoken. My servant David shall be their prince forever. So this is all connected to why, we're dealing with high Amazon queens, man, and David being prince forever means that Sheba has to, reconnect with this flow of Adam. David was in the flow of that pure water, man, that crystallized Adam was, rocking in Solomon in, So Diana, or, Wonder Woman, all this connects. Even one of the sisters, right, or the only sister of the 12 tribes, Dinah, right? Dinah, is also connected with this Diana, man. So Diana, you're talking powerful, high Amazon queens, man. Amazon queen. We're talking Dawid, reigning forever. And when it comes to these timelines with Daniel, Gilead, second son of David, all this history we think is happening in the BCs, at least for this biblical stuff, you know it's really popping off. They said after the 300s, but she's going to get real specific.
Has an account of each one of these and how these could have happened historically to produce those shifts. But his is what we might call one radical interpretation. Now, before you say this guy's out of his mind, what Fomenko does, given a pair of duplicates, what Fomenko does is says, well, can we establish astronomically which one is valid? So take, for example, Thucydides' Peloponnesian Wars. There are 3 eclipses mentioned in the Peloponnesian Wars. They're described with great fullness. There's a lunar eclipse, an annular solar eclipse, and another lunar eclipse. You can infer what the path of totality was, and the whole deal from these descriptions. The creators of modern chronology, namely Scaliger and Petavius, tried to astronomically solve the problem of those eclipses. Were not able to do it without leaving out some of the data provided by Thucydides, who, by the way, says he was a personal witness of this. So what Fomenko did, he said, let's make no presuppositions about this. Where are the exact astronomical solutions for this triad of eclipses? And there turns out to be one in the 11th century AD and one in the 12th century AD, and no others. So what Fomenko does quite regularly is he will appeal to astronomical arguments to try to determine which is the principal one, and his conclusion, and however crazy it may sound, is extraordinarily well argued, is that the only legitimate history is the modern history from about 300 on, and most of that, by the way, is from 900 on. From 300 on, we got like statuary documents and things like that.
He thinks most of the things that we think of as historical events really did happen, but the question is when and where, and maybe, of course, how many times. And he thinks it did happen 10 times, it only happened once, and most of that stuff happened after 900.
Yeah. And most of that stuff happened after the 900s.
It happened, but the question is when and where, and maybe, of course, how many times. And he thinks it did happen 10 times, it only happened once, and most of that stuff happened after 900.
Yeah.
After the 900s. Got it. Okay. So let's put this together. Queen of Sheba. Queen of Sheba. Hey, you think it's play? Shout out to Columbia College of Missouri. All right. You know, they got their flow, going through different cultural perspectives of the Queen of Sheba, who connects with Solomon and then has Nebuchadnezzar. We about to get that. How we doing, man? How we doing on time? Ain't no time, only the wave. Yeah, pop. Herein will be discussed the place of Queen Sheba, Bilqis, and King Solomon in the Quran, and starkly contrasting the portrayal of the Queen's visitation encounter with Solomon in the Quran with the event as depicted in the Hebrew Bible and the Ethiopian Keber Nagas. I would like to explore how the nuances of Islamic portrayal of the encounter speaks volumes about Islamic culture and Middle Eastern sociological perspectives concerning women, in addition concerning Western Europeanized depictions of these figures in the encounter through cinematic adaptations. The analysis is further enriched by the layers of interpretation shaped through Europeanized lenses. All right. So she want to see how everything been hijacked. Let's go. So I just want to get to some of the key parts here. All right. So some of the backstory: Queen of Sheba, a queen whose wisdom, they say, certainly equaled, if not rivaled, the wisdom attributed to Solomon. Now, where do we see this before, right? The same comparison being talked about with Lilith, right? And she didn't want to conform with Adam. So Lilith did her thing because she had her equal flow because she was created just like Adam by the Creator, not grafted out of his rib. But she was created heads up, straight up, you know what I'm saying? Just like Adam. So they were equal in many ways. Now, from there, they take the story, into sexism and sexuality and it had to do with this and that, but just pay attention to the Lilith connection because it's the same type of comparison with Lilith and Adam and Sheba and Solomon. Her magnificent riches and substantial land acquisition was truly unprecedented, especially in a time famed for its incredibly ambitious tyrants and prodigious male rulers. So they want to make it about more sexism, a lot of this feminist type of flow, but we're going to get the babies out. The Queen of Sheba was responsible for a land coveted for its advantageous position on the African and Middle Eastern trade route. Well, we know we're just talking about Antioch, right? We're just talking Antioch. And when you're talking Antioch, you're talking about the Bering Strait. Right? I mean, you got the Antioch, you got Quivira, and you got the whole, connection to the Bering Strait. And that was in this mythical straits of Antioch. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of this for the dismount too. That showed us straight up what was popping with the kingdom of Prester John. That the Prester John kingdom was not very far from Mexico. And this is where we got this map from. And, we blew it up a few times, but I'm going to do it again. One time for your mind bones. So when we're talking Antioch and we're talking, Solomon the Builder and Sylvanus to Texas, the Toltecs, and where it's all happening at and where it's all happening from. Where is Queen Sheba getting these spices, man? Now, they say she's connected to South America, Venezuela, all that. So, is it possible, I don't know, that Queen Sheba was getting her spices from Mount Roraima in these areas, in these ancient mountains, ancient trees, and then bringing it, over to Solomon or Prester John or David, you know what I mean? Was he holding down a certain area and she had her Venezuela connection, her South America connection, her Khalifa connection. This right here would be the Bering Strait where they say, oh, the Native Americans crossed the Bering Strait. Man, I mean, it's all happening. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was on this Silk Road. I mean, what's the Silk Road got to do with the Bering Strait, man? Connecting India to India, huh? And why is Prester John right here? In North America. And does North America exist? Go get that drop. We're talking British Museum. We will be talking more about Marco Polo, though. That's for sure. That's for sure. Right now, we're just talking the Straits of Antioch. Antioch. So these trade routes, probably have a lot to do with this Antioch situation. Probably have a lot to do with this, right? Or the Quivira, the Keber, the Eber. Remember, Quivira is Kivera, is Keber, is Eber. Who this book right here, this India once ruled the Americas, called what? The Phoenician Naga. The Phoenician Naga king is Eber, is the Keber, is the Quivera, is the Prester. Is the Prester. So Hey man, shout out to my Aquas, shout out to my queens, man. When we talk Lilith, when we talk Sheba, we're talking about Adam's first wife. This is the whole Daenerys Targaryen, Game of Thrones, mother of dragons, my nigga. You did. Khaleesi is Khalifa. Queen Khalifa is the Khaleesi. Got it? So she had her questions. Now, when you think about it in terms of Lilith, Adam's first wife, she, I'm sure had the right. I'm sure she was asking the right question. She came to Jerusalem with a very great train with camels that bear spices and very much gold. They got me thinking about this scripture, and this, talks about Sheba and the land of Sheba. I just had it up. Let's see. Land of Sheba. Oh, wait, I'm tripping. I got it up already. I just had it up. Here we go. Isaiah 60. So verse 6, it says, well, let's go back. It says, lift up your eyes round about and see they are gathered together and come to you. Your sons come from afar. Your daughters are born on this side. Then they shall see and be radiant, and thy heart shall throb and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be turned unto you. The wealth of the nations shall come unto you. The wealth of the nations shall come unto you. The caravan of camels shall cover you, and the young camels of Midian and Ephah, all coming from Sheba, right? They bring gold and incense. So we just reading that Sheba came with all this gold. Now, if you know that Sheba, right, is Sibola, is Shimbala, then that makes perfect sense. And if you're coming from Shimbala or Sibola or Kalelus, right, because Kalelus is Sibola, and Kalelus means promised land. And like I said, man, Kalelus is Sibola. And on the maps, you see Cibola, right? Cevola is Sheba, my naga. Shebola, Sivola is Shebola. Sivola is Kalelus. Sivola, yeah, there's a guarded secret of the land of Kalelus or Cibola. So Cibola is Kalelus, is promised land, is Sheba, is the land of the seven or the daughter of the seven. This is what we're getting last time in this great document by Daniel Lowe, Forbidden Histories of America, man. You know what I mean? So you're putting all this drop together. You're connecting Sheba. You're connecting Cibola, which connects you directly to the seven cities of gold. And this is why they're bringing all this gold out. This is why, that's the first thing mentioned when you're coming from the land of Sheba. Because you're dealing with the seven cities of gold. Let's see this piece right here. Oh, there's a lot of drop in this book, as you can see. As you can see. We're just talking Sheba, right? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Back it up. Back it up. In the Americas, where the queen was the queen of the South America, that is. Uh-oh. So we keep hearing about the queen of the South with Queen Sheba. Even in the script, you hear about the queen of the South. That is Shambhala. Yeah, okay. Because they're trying to figure out, does she come from Africa? Or are we talking about Shambhala, the children of Shem? Where's Sheba from? Which Ethiopia? Where's the land of Ophir? And the mother of Solomon is the daughter of the oath, the covenant, the daughter of the seven. And then you say seven what? And I say seven cities of gold. We're talking the cities of gold, the seven cities. The Sheba, the covenant, the oath. Whose oath? The seven. So before they turn seven into Shiva, oh, that's the number of the god Shiva. Nah, we're talking Sheba, the oath, the covenant, the seven cities of gold, man. We're talking Ophir. So, by the time they go over and start digging around, coming from Sheba, they're coming from a place that they must bring that gold, man. Spices, right? Sheba, gold. Very much gold. So she came to Jerusalem. We got last time that she brought that balsam, and we got a part of the balsam family is the guaiacum managa, the guaiacum. So we're putting this history together, and what did she just say? When did the real history just start popping off, man? After what, managa? Listen closely, man.
You can infer what the path of totality was and the whole deal these descriptions. The creators of modern chronology, namely Scaliger and Batavius, tried to astronomically solve the problem of those eclipses, were not able to do it without leaving out some of the data provided by Thucydides, who, by the way, says he was a personal witness of this. So what Fomenko did, he said, let's make no presuppositions about this. Where are the exact astronomical solutions for this triad of eclipses? And there turns out to be one in the 11th century AD and one in the 12th century AD, and no others. So what Fomenko does quite regularly is he will appeal to astronomical arguments to try to determine which is the principal one, and his conclusion, and however crazy it may sound, is extraordinarily well argued, is that the only legitimate history is the modern history from about 300 on, and most of that, by the way, is from 900 on. From 300 on, we got like statuary documents and some things like that.
He thinks most of the things that we think of as historical events really did happen, but the question is when and where, and maybe, of course, how many times. He thinks it did happen 10 times, it only happened once, and most of that stuff happened after 900.
Yeah.
After 900. So whatever we're talking about with Lilith, Sheba, Adam, David, Solomon, how recent is this? How recent are we just picking it up at? What is just popping off? I'm not saying that the world started after 900. You know what I'm saying? But you have to put it in the reference that they've added, what, 1,778 years to your timeline. So let's go, man. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get it. 'Cause we're asking the right questions right now, man. We're asking the right questions. So this Sheba, right? She brings all this gold. She got the drop. They go to a spot called Sheba in Isaiah 60. All right, let's dig on this Quran. In the Hebrew rendition of their meaning, in fact, there is no hint of romance in the account, save for the ambiguity found in the line, which Solomon is said to have given her all her desire. Neither, for that matter, is much romance found in the version of the interaction found in the Quran. All right. So it says the Quran story is more of a tale of conversion. Solomon is given a report by a hoopoe bird of the kingdom of Sheba, wherein the queen and all her people worship the sun instead of, their hijacked city. You know what I'm saying? So same type of thing, but clearly, twisted for their power, right? For their power. Oh, and I found her adoring the sun instead of their power, right? And Hasatan, and made these doings of theirs seem goodly to them, and thus has barred them from the path. You know what I mean? So now they're using her as, she was just, not caring about our power. He entreats her in a letter to visit the kingdom, and see why she should surrender to his Almighty. You know how the story goes, there's different, versions. She arrived at the truth without any help from us, although it is we who have been given divine knowledge before her and have long ago surrendered ourselves. And she has recognized the truth, although that which she has been wont to worship instead of their power, had kept her away from the right path. So this is all what's being put in their book about their power, Manai. But she's being mentioned, right? Finally, Solomon gets the queen, who they call Belkis, to submit to their power and to him to the extent by tricking her to thinking his palace floor was a fathomless expanse of water, Surah 27:44. And after she raised her skirts to bare her legs, thus shaming herself in exposure. So in both stories, it becomes this exposure situation, and her legs, were, supposed to be hairy, or her feet look like the, goat's calves, or, calf's feet or something like that. Then he's just talking about all this sexuality aspect of it. How they ended up sleeping together, you know what I'm saying, based on this trick that Solomon did about drinking water. After the queen falls asleep, Solomon has his servants place right between them two beds, right between their two beds, a pitcher of cool water. Feigning sleep, he lies silently until the queen awakens with great thirst, and she goes to pour herself of the water. He rises from the bed and accuses her of breaking her oath. Why have you already broken your oath? So they made an oath that, and all right, so she doesn't want to be taken by force, right? So he says, I swear I will not, but you must swear to me that you will not take by force any of my possessions. So this is clearly about the land, right? Or, okay, this is yours, this is mine. It's not a sexual thing, but they turn it into sexual thing, right? The queen laughs at hearing this, replied, I don't need your stuff. I'm very wealthy. Nevertheless, I will swear that I will not take any of your possessions. So, in other words, it's like, don't go to war with me, I won't go to war with you. And he swore to her, made her swear to him, so they had an oath. And then they try to trivialize it by making it, oh, okay, well, he put some water in between them. She woke up thirsty, had some water. And he says, oh, you broke the oath. She said, why? By drinking the water? Is there anything under heaven richer than water? Then I have sinned against myself, and you are free from the oath. And he says, I'm free from the oath which you made me swear? And she says, yes, but let me drink your water. So Solomon permitted her to drink. After she had drunk her fill, and then they made love. So now he can be, or she can be, his possession. You know what I mean? So that's how they're trying to twist the story with their femininity. You know what I mean? But what really went down, with their land pact, appears to be more of a pact with the land, like her land, right? Queen Makeda threatened Solomon as a woman precisely because she, like her land of Sheba, is unconquered. So she doesn't want him to try to conquer her land. Men have since time immemorial referred to land, earth itself, in the feminine, just as the flag planted on the moon, dot the hijack. Men have always penetrated the grounds they've conquered with the phallic points of the flags of victory. Penetrated the grounds, Amah, right? Just as they penetrate the womb of earth with their tools to plant seeds. The womb of the woman is often seen as the vessel of life, receiving man's seed to bring forth mankind from the chamber of birth. Indeed, the first palace. Indeed, too, the woman is also, according to Freudian analysis, also a tomb. The subconscious fear of the vagina. Oh, man. It's a primal fear of men that by defining it through psychoanalytical theory does little to assuage them of the ambivalence of disappearing into a woman during coitus. All right. So somewhere they referenced that TV show American Gods and how the character, the Virgin Queen, or whatever her name was on the show, she had this whole portrayal of a succubus-like demoness who revels in consuming men, killing them within her vagina, right? So all that is based on Queen Sheba, man. All this is based on Lilith, which again they're calling this jinn or this demon. In this case, Sheba is the daughter of a king and a jinn or a demon. Queen of Sheba, Rana de Saba, man. Rana de Saba, huh? That connected to that those cakes, remember them raisin cakes, man. Rana de Saba chocolate almond cake, man. Queen of Sheba. All right, all right. So as we dig, on what's popping with this Sheba, we do that so that this, Nebuchadnezzar Solomon connection, man, can come more and more to the forefront, as to what's really going on in the story of Daniel. What's happening in the story of Daniel? Now let's get it from here in this Jewish encyclopedia. It says Nebuchadnezzar, the wicked one, Harasha, was a son or descendant of the queen of Sheba by her marriage with Solomon. So here's another substantiating source that Sheba is the mother of Nebuchadnezzar. And again, his name means Nebo, my naga, defend my boundary. Who dies by Mount Nebo? All right. You got Moses, right? Dying by Mount Nebo. So that's a big deal. So Nebuchadnezzar, son of Queen Sheba, son of Solomon. Wow. And son-in-law of Sennacherib or Kirib in the Targum. Sennacherib. Let's see who this is, man. You know, this is going to be the best dismount, my nugget, of all time. Let's go get him. All right, son and successor of Neo-Assyrian King Sargon, who reigned as the king of Assyria. So Nebuchadnezzar, you know, pretty much the whole Persian Medes captivity, all this drop. All this drop. Now back to that Queen of Heaven, right? The Queen Mother of Heaven drop, right? How they were making cakes, right? It doesn't just say raising cakes. It just says they were making cakes to the Queen of Heaven. Now let's put it together back what we just read. So let's get this again. We're just putting together the pieces, man. We're just putting together the pieces, man. Swan, 7, Swan, 7, 7. If you replace that V in 7 with a W, you got Sewin, right? Sewin, Sawan, Sawan. I don't know, man. I mean, you know, you tell me. Now this Sennacherib, I mean, we're talking about these Persians, these Medes. Really, you're still talking this Nimrod, right? Because just think about it this way. If Nimrod's mother would be the Queen of Heaven, then who's Nebuchadnezzar's mother? Queen Sheba? You can see clearly, man, how there's an original queen. Because who comes first, Nebuchadnezzar or Nimrod's mama? Does Nimrod's mom predate Lilith, my nigga? So Lilith predates their fake queen mother of heaven, man. And this brings the picture clear as to what they were worshiping and why. Good or bad, right or wrong, we're just asking why, right? So, all right. So that's who Sennacherib is, in whom he took part in expeditions of the Assyrians against Hezekiah. Now, he's the son-in-law of that Sennacherib, son-in-law. But he's the actual son of Solomon. So he is from the tribe of Judah. I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, he is a Davidic prince, my naga. He is the son of David, son of Solomon, is Nebuchadnezzar, and son of Queen Sheba, or Lilith, first wife of Adam. Did she remarry into the lineage at another point, my naga? Pop off more dragons, right? All right. So he came to the throne in the 4th year of King Joachim. Now we're getting the personal beef that's going on with Nebuchadnezzar. We're about to get that Daniel for the dismount. So he came to the throne in the 4th year of King Joachim of Judah, whom he subjugated, and 7 years later killed after that king had rebelled. So he really came for a personal gripe, not to bring down Jerusalem, Managa, but to take out King Jehoiakim. Why? Let's go. Nebuchadnezzar did not on this occasion go to Jerusalem, but received the grand Sanhedrin at Jerusalem at Daphne, a suburb of Antioch, informing that body that it was not his intention to destroy the temple, but that the rebellious Joachim must be delivered to him, which in fact was done. So his intention was never to destroy the temple, right? He just wanted to get Joachim. Remember, Joachim was out of code. He was out of order. He was one of the wicked kings, right? So, all right, you got a wicked one, Nebuchadnezzar, going against another wicked one. Which one did HaWah sin, right? Which one repented? Which one was redeemed at the end? We about to get it. Oh, man, it's a lot of job, but, I'm going to keep this up as we continue to dig on Nebuchadnezzar, because we're going to connect this. Because remember, according to another version, Nebuchadnezzar really spent 7 years among the animals. Now, if Queen Sheba, Queen Khalifa got the drop on all the animals, the dragons, everybody, who do you think he was spending this 7 years with? Who do you think Nebuchadnezzar? You don't think he was with his mama? You don't think Sheba was kicking it, during this 7 years with the animals, my naga? Then his son, who they call evil Merodach, ruled as king, but then he returned and cast his son to prison for life. Therefore, after Nebuchadnezzar had died and the nobles of the realm came to the son to swear fealty or falsely to him as their king, he did not dare listen to them until they brought the corpse of his father, so that he could convince himself that the latter really was dead. Because his dad wasn't rocking with him, right? His dad put him in prison for life because he was, Nebuchadnezzar ended up keeping the code. That Nebuchadnezzar, in spite of all his weakness, was chosen by HaWah to rule over Israel and all the earth, was due, according to some, to the fact that he was a descendant of Merodach Baladan, to whom God granted as a reward for a pious deed that 3 of his descendants, namely Nebuchadnezzar, his son evil Merodach, and Belshazzar, should become world rulers. Now, we got to dig on this Belshazzar, because I know that Daniel has a title under this name as well, right? So we're going to get in this book of Daniel, dig on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's going to be one of the best dismounts of all time. Let go. All right, let go. So we got, a good comprehension of what's happening with Nebuchadnezzar. Let's get sort of a dismount as to what happened at the end, you know what I'm saying, with Nebuchadnezzar, man. So all this came upon the king, right? So that was the prophecy Daniel told him, man, that, you know what I'm saying, his kingdom's going to get, broken down. And he gave him this whole prophecy of the tree and the iron and all that. So all this came, verse 25, Daniel chapter 4, at the end of 12 months, he was walking upon the royal palace of Babylon. The king spoke and said, "Is not this great Babylon, which I have built for a royal dwelling place by the might of my power and for the glory of my majesty?" While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, "O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom is departed, and thou shalt be driven from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beast of the field." Now, that's just going back, that's just kicking it back to Sheba, right? Because she got the dwelling place with the beasts of the field. Thou shalt be made to eat grass as oxen, 7 times shall pass over thee, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whoever he will. In other words, I gave you your power. You got to get humble. Let me humble you. The same hour was the same thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, or Nebo, right? And he was driven from men. He did eat grass as oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hair was grown like eagle's feathers and his nails like bird's claws? Or did he just turn into a dragon? Let go. At the end of days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes into heaven, and my understanding returned. So he put in the time. He got that Baruch from the Most High. I praise and honor him that lives forever. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. Talking about HaWah. This is what Nebuchadnezzar is saying. HaWah's dominion is everlasting dominion. His kingdom from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. Like that Amos chapter 3, right? All these other nations outside of Israel. For only the family of Israel have I known. Of all the families of the earth, all other nations are reputed as nothing, as spittle. That's that Amos. Go get it, man. He doeth according to his will in the host of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or say to him, who doest thou? What are you doing? At the same time, understanding, return unto me, Nebuchadnezzar, and for the glory of my kingdom, my majesty, and my splendor return. So he got his Khan back, right? He got his Khan back. HaWah gave Nebuchadnezzar, Solomon's boy, his bond, his Khan. And my ministers, my Lord, sought unto me. I was established in my kingdom, and surpassing greatness was added. Just like Job, right? He got surpassing greatness after he went through his test. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol the honor of the King of heaven, for his works are true, his ways are justice, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. Halal HaWah. Let's get a piece of chapter 3. Right, because this is where you have Nebuchadnezzar, and he has some of the princes of Judah, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And we've been connecting that Meshach, right? And we showed how Josephus has this little clue he left. You know, Josephus left a little clue around Meshach, but we keep thinking he's coming out of Japheth, this Meshach. But Josephus, you know, kind of leaves a little clue. Yeah, you know, Josephus put it all together. We're in book 1. I think we're in book 6. Nah, that's the War of the Jews, Antiquity. Let's go right here, book 1. Chapter 6. Let's go chapter 6, man. You know, we just surfing away. And we gone through this, man, a couple of times. My wave surfers know. So, you know, we're just talking about the grandchildren of Noah. He's breaking down the line of Japheth. He gets into the Greeks, you know what I mean, the Gomer situation. And out of nowhere comes what? He says Thobal founded the Thobalites, which are now the Eberies. And Moshakini was founded by Mosak. And we dug on Mosak the founder as Moses the founder. We're talking Mosak, which predated Khazaria, Cappadocia over there, right? Which is Mosak originally, which was the Byzantine. The Rimmon Managa became Cappadocian, right? But there is a mark under ancient denominations still to be shown. That means it hasn't been revealed yet. Are we beginning? We still don't know what Josephus is talking about, but are we beginning to see what this Meshach might be connected to? That these are not coming out of no Japheth line, that we are connecting these Meshachs, we are connecting these Meshachs, my noggin? Are we connecting the Meshach, connecting with the Davidic line, these tribes of Judah? Because he wanted to know. After they were not burned, Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fire. When Daniel 3:26, he spoke and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, you servants of HaWah, come forth and come here. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth out of the midst of the fire. And the satraps, the prefects, the governors, the king's ministers, being gathered together, saw these men, that the fire had no power upon their bodies, nor was the hair of their heads singed, neither were their cloaks changed, nor had the smell of fire passed on them at all, my nugget. That's what HaWah is doing to the tribe right now, passing through the fire of all this hijacked city. Verse 28, Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his dragon, his dragon, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and that have changed the king's word, and have yielded their bodies, that they might not serve, nor worship any God except their own power. Therefore, I make decree that every people, nation, and language would speak. Anybody that speaks anything amiss, anything, against the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Man, anybody in any language that speaks anything about HaWah negatively shall be cut in pieces. Man, this is what Nebuchadnezzar's popping off with after he, sees the light. Their houses shall be made a dunghill, because there is no other God that is able to deliver after this sword, my naga. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. Right, and then that's when you pick up in verse 4. So this son of Solomon, even with all the hijack he brought at first, saw the light. How great are his signs, how great are his wonders, his everlasting kingdom, his dominion from generation to generation. But at last Daniel came before me, whose name is Belshazzar. So, which Belshazzar, you know what I'm saying? Were they just talking about before, with Belshazzar and, him being, literally related to Nebuchadnezzar, when, this is who Nebuchadnezzar is adopting. This is Daniel, right? This is Gilead, Khan, second son of David, Daniel. Now you see, it's all in the family. The son of Solomon is adopting or bringing in the son of David, Managa, who is the perfection of his father. Who's Nebuchadnezzar? Son of Lilith, son of Sheba, son of the first queen, man. The Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whoever he will. So, but there's a reason why Nebuchadnezzar was chosen. He just wasn't some random heathen. He's still in the house of Judah, and he sent someone from the house of Judah to dethrone this Joachim, of the house of Judah. He don't just send anybody. Things start to come clear. Now, you know, you could follow this lineage into Darius, my naga, into all this. And we got to get on Darius, man, because all these are connected with the house of Judah. All these are connected, man, with Israel, man. But you're just giving these, you know, base type of stories that a lot's been taken away, man. That's all I can say is a lot has been taken away. But HaWah, you know, changed Nebuchadnezzar's heart. And he praised HaWah. And he honored the King of Heaven. He honored the King of Heaven, man. And the real Queen of Heaven is Amah, man. That's that Shekinah. That's that wisdom. That's that flow. That's that Ruach. So Sheba, you know, appears to be, you know, just like David is, you know, you can say one of the main flows in the physical form, you know, that HaWah works through, you know, these Davids, from David to David, love to the Templar, from Templar to Templar, from Prester to Prester. Amah, our mama, works through our Shebas the same type of way. Even to this day, man, we got the energy of our Sheba queens still popping off right now, man. Right now in full effect, man. They say she's from Africa, right? They say she's from Ethiopia, right? Hey, it's Prester John 64, but for the dismount, we'll get it like it's the first time, just like we got it in Prester John number 1, my nut. Which Ethiopia? Back in the Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, man. We belly flopping. Let's go. Let's get it from here. It says, with this, the line of Prester John's early Ethiopian ancestry. Let me get it bigger. Prester John's Ethiopian ancestry fades away in the haze of Hellenistic imagery and romance. So we're talking about Prester John and the noble Ethiopian. Little more is to be seen of the noble Ethiopian, right? You don't have no more noble image, my not. But what do they mean when they keep saying Queen of the South, or, you know, Ethiopia, right? Ronald Sanders, man, just lets you know when he's digging in the fine print about these Ethiopians, this vague terminology. Check it out. Like it's the first time. We got 3 Indias, right? Huh? We got 3 Indias, huh? Let's go. He calls this confused geography. Why? Because one India, the latter concept, becomes a standard of the Middle Ages. One of the Indias faced, quote unquote, Ethiopia. So that would be Africa, quote unquote, right? Another faced Persia. Where's that? And the third occupies the end of the earth. In Managa, they found you in what's called the third India. But the third is the biggest one. The third is the greatest one. The third is India Superior, Managa. The third is India Superior, Managa. India Superior, Managa. India Superior, Prester John. Got it, right? Not far from Mexico. Got it. So this third India became especially fruitful for the geographical imagination in the region of untold islands, in which the plural term Indias etymologically one and the same as Indies. So Indias is Indies, came to rest once and for all. So when we talk 3 Indias. Even for the learned Europeans, even the learned ones, the term covered a vast and distant region of dark-skinned people, culminating in countless array of islands in one direction and the biblical quote-unquote Kush in the other. So no matter which way you go, you got dark-skinned people. In this particular way, you got a countless array of islands. In this particular way, my Naga, you have this region of what? Darkness, right? Occupies the ends of the earth between the ocean and the rim of darkness. So when they say Ethiopia, they're just talking about a region of dark-skinned people either way. So America is an Ethiopia, and this is where they found the actual Sheba or Khalifa, Queen Khalifa, California, Gold Rush, Septimania, 7 Daughter of the Oath, 7 cities of gold. You're talking Afri, right? Afri, right? Huh? Ethiopia, or we talking Afra? Afra, right? This is from Slaves and the Family by Edward Ball. It is a ripe touch that the Ball family's benefactor was called Afra, a name with an interesting etymology for the dismount. The Phoenicians once called those who lived in North Africa Afirs. Apparently, the Shemitic word for wanderer. So even the word Afir is coming from a Semitic origin. So where's the real Afir? Where are the real wanderers, man? Romans borrowed the word from the Phoenicians, modified it to Afir, Afri. The place where the Afirs lived became Africa. In the Old Testament, Ephah and Epher are descendants of Abraham and Keturah. So we got the sons of Midian coming in play, and you got Aphira, a servant of Solomon. Back to Solomon, back to Nebuchadnezzar, right? So who's Aphra? Aphra is Epher, descendants of Abraham and Keturah? Huh? I mean, we got Keturah, we got Hagar. Some people say they were the same people. I mean, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother time. You got Keturah bore 6 sons, Zimran, Jokshan, Medin. So they say Medin, he has sons, and this becomes this Epher. Her grandsons, Keturah's grandsons, Sheba is a grandson of hers, right? So Sheba could be a title, male or female. Huh? Okay. Epha and Epher. And Epher. Wow, I mean, check this out. According to the African writer Aluda Equiano, 18th century theologian John Gill believed that the African people, the African people, were descended from Abraham and Keturah. Wow, not even not even Ham, Anak? But they're the seed of Abraham originally, and that's from the African writer Olada Equiano. Let's get some more, man. You got these links, pull them up, man. All right, Keturah, let's go. Same thing. She bore the sons, all right? Descendants of Dedan, descendants of Median were Epher. So who's this Epher? Who's Ophir? Who's Ophir? Who's Ophir? Ophir made his war against Libya, took it, and that his grandchildren, when they inhabited it, called the name Africa after Ophir, and that's from Josephus. sons of Median, Ephes and Epher or Ophir or Ophrine, huh? Oh boy, my naga, my naga. My naga, my naga. Was she Hagar or was she not Hagar? That is the question. That is the question. I'm just belly flopping, man. You got the drop, though. Back to this Gustavus Vasa. Remember this drop? Talking about the land of promise and the Hebrew. Dr. John Gill, 18th century theologian, who in his commentary on Genesis was very, very aptly deduces the pedigree of the Africans from Aphir and Afra, descendants of Abraham by Keturah, his wife, Managa. So when Sheba comes from Africa, she's still coming from Abraham. If she's coming from Ethiopia, she's still, Managa, coming from the third India, the three Indias, the region of dark-skinned people, Ethiopia, Managa. It's just a region of darkies, man. And we're gonna get back in this Prester John, you know what I'm saying, lost tribes and promised lands, man, and just continue to connect who the queen is, right? What's the relation with Amma and Sheba? Is it similar with Abba and David or Solomon? Continue. We're going to continue in the wave, man. Just, making sure we know that when it comes to the queen, it's another link, go ahead and just dig on these great links. I mean, this here, is now bringing in the King Menelik, right? The son of the Queen of the South or South America. Now Menelik plays, and he plays over here, not Africa over there. But the next question that we'll get next time is Menelik Nebuchadnezzar? And how does that relate to Genghis Khan? How does that relate to the Batu Khans? How does Menelik relate to Nebuchadnezzar now that we can, how many babies did the Queen of Sheba and Solomon have, Is Menelik Nebuchadnezzar, man? I'm going to lead this up and definitely hit some points in it for the next flow, man. And I just hope you still got, the water flowing my noggin. And I pray you still got your fire burning my noggin, you know what I mean? I pray that fire never goes out, man. Oh, 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 well, if it does, we gotta reboot it, baby. We gotta reboot it, man. I want everyone to keep the fire burning around here, man. And as promised, just digging on that Heber drop. And oh, Dom, this is where we'll pick it up from next time as well. On page 7, by a book called India Once Ruled the Americas by Gene Matlock. If you intuit that Afghan, remember Afghan, this is also either the son of Jeremiah or grandson of Jeremiah, Managi. Khyber, Khyber, Kiver. Hebrew is Heber. Egyptian Kabri, right? Back to the Quiveri or Quiveria. We're just talking about the ancient Nagas. How does it relate? How does it connect to the old Doms, the Ho-Ho-Coms, those that disappeared? What's it all got to connect to when it comes to this cyber situation, man? This is a great place to leave you with, man. What does cyber mean? What does cyber mean? If we're connecting cyber or kyber, right? As long as we got the fire burning, then it's all right. Because we're going to connect all the drop, man. I got some great man alchemy drop for next. I mean, it's the investigation continues, man. Don't even trip, man. I do want to get back into that balsam situation too, man. But we're talking Kyber, Keber, Quivera, Sheba, Lilith. We're talking the magical ley lines. The Ho-Ho-Gam, the Ogam, right? The Ho-Ho-Gam, right? Right there's where Rhoda would be. Right there's, you know what I'm saying, where this Odam, that's connected with this Old Ham language, which is the Ho-Ho-Gam. We're just taking a trip, man, into our indigenous roots, into our, indigenous comprehension, man. Halal HaWah for the dismount. So what is, I mean, when they say a cyber attack happened, what's a cyberspace? They say it's only related to the internet. What is cyber? What's cyber, right? Let's get it bigger for the dismount. This is from The Open Secret of India, Israel, and Mexico by Gene Matlock. So check it. You got this copper that's coming from the word Khyber or Kuvera or Kiver, right? Afghan Khyber, KhYber. You change that KH to a C, you got cyber or Khyber, but that C is a K, Khyber, like a Cedar City. You change that C to a K, it's a hard K, it's Khyber or what? Cedar, Kedar. What's the biblical Kedar about? Is Kedar just cedar? And is Khyber just cyber? Or Kiver? Or Heber? Or Hebrew? Capernaum? Just like Cappadocia, right? Cappadocia, Mosak. Come on, man. Come on for the dismount. What does cyber mean? I mean, Josephus, Mosak are now the Cappadocians. What's this Cappadocia about, man? What's this Capernaum about? Still Capper, which is where they get the word copper. My copper-colored naga. We're just talking about the cities of gold. Because this Khan became India's god of gold. They're deifying the Khan that was, connected with the gold, right? In the golden cities, Prester John, priest king. I said Prester John, my knock. What's this Khyber about? What's this Cappadocians, Mosak the founder? And what, oh what, is a cyber attack? Definitions, man, for the dismount. Oh, cybersec. Oh, come on, man. Pertaining to the internet. Oh, come on. Cyber goth. Goth. Getting closer. Kyber goth. Okay. Cyber is a fictional character, a super villain appearing in books published by the Marvel Comics. He went against the X-Men. Who's Kyber, Managi? Who is the copper color Kyber? Now that you know that the Kyber is the Caver, is the Eber, Managi. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Hey, man, one more time, man. Can we do it together? Hold up, man. Can we say it together, man? Ania. It's all about the anion, man. Can we say it, man? Quivera. This Quivera. It's the same Quivera, right? That we just getting on. The Kieber, the Kiever, the Eber, the Heber. This is the land of Eber. This is the land of the Prester, my nigga. This is the land of Antioch. And my naga, who is Prester John, rocking in Antioch. And all praise to Wild the Water for surfing the wave. We just digging on the queens, my naga. I said we just digging on the queens. We just digging on my sisters. Stay up. Keep rising up, Aquas. We are getting closer to our redemption season. We will no longer be demonized or deified, but we have one truth, one power, and we are all one drop. All praise HaWah. Keep surfing the wave. Get your Prester packs. Click the link below. Get the drop, man. And just make sure you got it all, so that you can have it with you at all times. And keep sharing the drop. And get ready for Prester John installment number 65. We got the water flowing. Hey. Managa, we got the fire burning. And it's all happening. Shalom.